welcome back to the Fumble Live. Thanks so much for tuning in today. We have a lot to talk about, including Steph Curry and how he called the team's loss on Monday night embarrassing. We're talking about Bryant, how he thinks he should be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And then finally, Lamelo Ball has a new trick to getting girls. So for those of you who are wanting to add a new gal pal to your roster, maybe Lamelo Ball can offer you guys a little bit of advice. But before we do all that, make sure you subscribe to our channel, tap the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment below. Here's the Fumble Squad. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward.
What's up, everybody? I'm Jackie Ray. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at JRayTheFanatic. And I almost forgot, but guess what day it is, Devin? You know what day it is?
It's Taco Tuesday!
I have no taco stuff in the house today. None. And I totally forgot.
Me too. I have no taco stuff either, which is very unfortunate because I do love to make some tacos. But I guess I will not be participating today, but at least we can continue on with our tradition of shouting it out at the top of the show. I'm so glad, Jackie, that you always remember because I never do. I literally never do when we get on the show. I don't know why. So that's going to always have to officially be your job because I'm never going to remember. How are you feeling today, Jackie? Before we dive into this first Steph Curry story, what's up with you? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I did watch that game last night. I was kind of annoyed, kind of off topic what we're going to talk about. LeBron didn't even sit until the fourth quarter. He waited until we were up by 25 points. I thought this was an opportunity to let the young guys get it, to see how they can handle things. So, because the trade deadline is coming up, so let the young guys go out there so you kind of know what you're working with, see what decisions you may or may not need to make. And for him I get it, don't sit down until you get the big lead, but I don't think the Warriors are a threat right now. I'm still on team. He needs to limit these minutes, and no one's listening to me. So this is probably why I'm never going to be a head coach.
I think this is exactly why you do need to be a head coach, Jackie. This is why you need to step in for the Lakers, take over Frank's job, and just start calling all the shots. That's what we need right now. Because, I'm with you. LeBron needs to rest. If he wants to continue on with the same energy and the same power through the remainder of this half of the season, but even more than that, if he really wants to play against Bronny or with Bronny in the league, then he needs to keep on preserving his health, his body, because at 36 years old, it's a lot. 36 isn't old, but when you're going out there night after night and you're putting up, 36 minutes or however many minutes he's doing, it's a lot. It's hard on your body. All right, let's get into this first update. So as we've kind of already started talking about, the Warriors suffered a 31-point loss to the Lakers last night, and Steph Curry is really frustrated about it, and he says that it's time for his team to stop having these embarrassing performances. He used the word embarrassing. So he said, quote, "We've got to play better. We have to develop a winning attitude every single night. And honestly, we've got to get sick of getting blown out because that's embarrassing. We have to have some pride about how we're playing. You can lose games. That's going to happen, but not like that." So at 20-20, the team has been pretty inconsistent all season. Sometimes it seems like they're really able to muster up this, this energy and this motivation, like on Sunday when they went up against the Utah Jazz and they won 131-119. They looked like they resembled the Warriors that we used to know. But then we come into Monday night and they have this 31-point loss to the Lakers. And it kind of is a reminder of how inconsistent they are as a team and how they don't seem to be on solid footing at all. So let's talk about Steph's mentality. So he says that they need to recognize that it's embarrassing for them to play like this, and that needs to be enough of a motivating factor to get them to actually win. Do you think that this is the mentality that they really do need to have, or is the issue deeper than that, Jackie?
I think that's a good question, because I only saw highlights of the Jazz Warriors game, so I didn't watch the full game. I saw a little bit of the fourth quarter, and to me, it didn't really seem as much like the Warriors were doing, like they were playing. I mean, they played well. I don't want to say that they didn't, but it just looked like the Jazz kind of felt like I felt like, oh, the Warriors aren't the team to worry about, so we're just going to go out there and assume that this is a for sure win. I thought it was more of a mindset on the part of the Utah Jazz than it was the Warriors. Do I think that they should have the mentality that it's embarrassing? I don't know if embarrassment should be your motivation, because your motivation should be to win, period. Yes, it's always embarrassing to get blown out, but it does happen. We saw the Clippers be down to the Wizards by 50 at the half. That's embarrassing to me, because when you're talking about a team like the Wizards, that's embarrassing. I don't know if overcoming the embarrassment should be your motivation as much as to say that this doesn't make sense. If we go out and play the Utah Jazz, who have the best record in the entire league, and we come out victorious, how come we can't maintain that mindset? I don't think it's a question of embarrassment. It's a question of what happened between this game and this game. Because like you said, it's inconsistency that is the main thing. So what is the difference from game to game? What are we losing between these games? Are we excited about this one win, and then all of a sudden we feel like, okay, we're back, and we lose the drive or the mentality that we had against the Jazz, against the Lakers? Because we definitely should have that same mentality against the Lakers. They won the championship last season, so we should definitely keep that same mentality. So I think they need to focus more on what are the inconsistencies. Is it really just one of those things where we kind of have to eat it until Clay comes back, or what is going on here? Can we maintain this drive and this tenacity from game to game? And if we can't, we need to address that. I don't know if looking at it and saying that was so embarrassing is the mind that you need to have.
Yeah, I wonder how far having that avoiding embarrassment mentality will take you, especially in a team sport. So I think I agree with you on that one. I mean, I do think that it is definitely worthwhile for them to acknowledge that losing by 31 points. I mean, of course, the Lakers are the champions, like you said, so it's not a huge surprise, but I think just the way their season has been going, this kind of up and down, this sort of unreliable path that they've been taking, I feel like it's worth acknowledging that it is kind of embarrassing for them to look like that, but that shouldn't be the reason they get their act together and move forward. Right. It wasn't
the points that was embarrassing to me. There were some times where I saw Kelly Oubre on the court, and he just looked like wasn't exactly sure what his role was at that specific moment. There's a couple of times when he was transitioning to either get back on defense that he just didn't know, like, is this the spot? He would look around for kind of affirmation. Is this the spot I'm supposed to be at? Those are things that you probably should address in practice. And it wasn't just him. There's a lot of little nuances like that where people clearly don't know exactly what their role is. And I think that's your first step. You shouldn't have to look around for affirmation when you're running back to get on defense. You should know this is my guy and this is my spot. So there are certain things that I think that they could probably address during practice. And then at the same time, they're a younger team now. So just like Mark Jackson built the Warriors of old, and Steve Kerr got to benefit from that. And I think you just gotta Steph might forget where he came from, because he was a part of that building process and they grew together. And I get it, especially when you're at Steph's status. You don't want to start regrowing. You want to be established with guys who know what they're doing, who know where they're supposed to be. And so that might be a little bit embarrassing to you because you expect that they fall in line. And I just don't know if they're ready to do that just yet. I think they can, but like I said, they're a younger team. Steph's just not used to this dynamic that he has right now, but I think they could be really good. They just have to stick it out and figure out who they are as a team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do agree with you on that. Jeremiah Smith in the chat says, can we move on already and let's not talk about the Warriors? Please, we suck. I just have one more question for Jackie, Jeremiah. I'm sorry about that. Sorry, Jeremiah, but we're going to be getting into Des Bryant in just a second. How much of the Warriors' problems do you think come from them having too much confidence and relying too much on Steph and Draymond to carry the team? Is that happening at all? Do you think that they're overestimating what Steph and Draymond can do together? What are your thoughts on that?
No, I don't think that's the problem at all. I think that these guys really want to play and they really want to be successful. It's a matter of identity right now. And I just think that these guys don't know who they are yet. And that takes time. Unfortunately, you can sometimes get a bunch of vets on a team, like what we're seeing with Brooklyn Nets. You can get a bunch of guys on the same squad who know exactly who they are as a player, put them together, and then they can figure it out on their own. But we're talking about younger guys and vets, and there is going to be a learning curve in that situation. That's just it should be expected. And I think what I really probably would want Steph to do is not, I'm not mad at him having these conversations internally with his squad. I think looking your teammates in the eyes and being like, this is embarrassing, y'all, is fine. But I think that they are so young and they are so impressionable that maybe you keep those conversations in-house right now, because it's not going to do you any good to shoot their confidence in the butt. You know, they're young, they're looking to you. Steph, you are the leader on that team right now. You are the person that they're all going to look to. And I think that maybe you could, I'm not mad at what he said, but just this is his second time saying something disparaging about the way the Warriors look right now. Maybe this should be the last time. Maybe you need to really kind of just build up the esteem of your team, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is surprising. We've seen a lot of surprising things from Steph this season, like him getting super riled up on the sidelines, him kind of being a little bit more vocal about where he feels the team is being disappointing. So it's kind of a new side for Steph recently. Let's get into this next update, talk about Bryant. So he thinks he's worthy of being inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame one day. So he talked with TMZ Sports and he made a case for himself saying, quote, "Nobody put up touchdowns the way I put up, not as fast." And he says that he is, of course, going to be a Hall of Famer. He put up especially big numbers from 2012 to 2014. He scored double-digit touchdowns in each one of those seasons, and he averaged 91 receptions for over 1,300 yards and nearly 14 touchdowns, and he was a 3-time Pro Bowler, 1-time first-team All-Pro in his 8 seasons in Dallas. So he has an impressive resume. So let's talk about this. Do you agree with him? Is he worthy of being in the Hall of Fame?
This one's tough because I'm 100% biased. So yes, absolutely. I love Bryant. He was so electric when he was playing in Dallas, and there was the chemistry between him and Tony Romo. Again, that took time to develop. There was times, the one time where I really was like, okay, Tony Romo's about that life. He had to kind of snatch him by his helmet and like, you run the route. That being said, that was my biggest complaint about Bryant, is his inability to run through his route. So he knew where he was supposed to be. That entire time he was playing with Tony Romo, Tony Romo was running for his entire life because Jerry Jones did not invest in a good offensive line until his second to last year or something like that. So it was a problem. And so instead of Dez keep moving his feet to make sure Tony Romo at least had time if he got open to get him the ball, he's a lazy route runner. And that was one of the things that I think is always going to follow him throughout his career. Anybody who watched him play knew how lazy of a route runner he was. That being said, I still love Dez Bryant. Is he a first ballot Hall of Famer? Absolutely not. Because you got to be on point to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think he will be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know if it'll be second or third ballot, but it's definitely not going to be the first ballot. I would estimate it'll probably be third ballot. And it'll be because of Cowboy Nation getting out there and campaigning for him and showing we're going to have this time where he's considered or whatever, and he doesn't get on the ballot. And then Cowboy Nation is going to do what they do. And then they're going to start showing all these amazing, because that's the thing. He had these amazing highlights, because for a while, the only 2 wide receivers we were talking about was Odell Beckham and Dez Bryant, because they were just so electric on the field. So it's gonna come, but it's gonna come after a very long and excruciating campaign by Cowboy Nation. So he definitely will not be first ballot, but I do think he'll get in there.
So I want to read some of the chat here. Mamba says that he likes the confidence from Dez. It's not like a player is going to call themselves unworthy and put themselves down. It's expected that they have confidence in themselves, which I agree. I think there are ways to answer that question where you don't say with so much certainty that you are, yeah, of course I belong in the Hall of Fame. Like you could say, we'll see what happens. I'd love that. That would be a great honor, whatever. But Dez is very confident that he will end up there one day. Jeremiah Smith says he might make it, but not enough playoff experience because my Washington football team kicked their A word a lot. But yeah, so it seems like people do agree with him here. But what do you feel an induction into the Hall of Fame should be based off of? Should it be based off of an individual resume or team wins? How do you feel like people should make those, meet those different requirements?
Because I think, my dad loved Dan Marino. My dad used to always sit around and watching old games of Dan Marino. And Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl. But when you see him on tape, you could see, especially for that time when things just moved a lot slower, watching those old tapes is just not fun for me. But you could see how good he was, for that time. So obviously, when you look at people like Dan Marino and even T.O., it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be, in the Super Bowl. When you look at someone like Terrell Owens, in my opinion, should have been a first ballot inductee into the Hall of Fame. But his mouth and his personality is what kept him out so long. So it's one of those things where you just you got to do right and be nice. Des Bryant, for all that the people that don't like him, he pretty much has been a solid guy. He really hasn't gotten into too much trouble. Yes, he had some trouble his rookie season, with his mom and some incident in a mall and things of that nature. But for the most part, he's been a solid guy. He's been very supportive of his teammates and other teammates. He hasn't gotten into any real trouble, so I don't think that there should be anything holding him back. And if you look at his numbers, like I said, or like you said as well, his numbers are solid. And when you really think of, you got to look at more than that too, because he didn't just do these amazing touchdowns and these amazing catches. He really was the attention grabber. People specifically watched games to watch Des Bryant, and he brought a lot of attention to the Cowboys, and we know that's what Jerry wants. He wants everybody talking about the Cowboys anyway, so he did his part. I think as a player and what he brought to that franchise specifically, that alone warrants him getting into the Hall of Fame. So I think you not only have to consider their stats, what they do at their position, but you got to consider those intangibles. Would that game have been the same for the Cowboys at all if Des Bryant was not there? The answer is no. So to me, once you're that person on that team that you can solidly say, hey, if this person wasn't there, we wouldn't have had the success that we had, then I think you go ahead and you put him in the Hall of Fame. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to I think we both read the same comment in there at the same time. All right, then. I saw us both kind of like, oh, okay. Right. So I think that you put it perfectly. It needs to be how much value you bring to the team. And if you took that athlete out of those situations, out of those, really monumental games, or even the non-monumental games, would the game have gone the same way? And if the answer is no, then I think that alone is a solid enough reason to consider putting somebody on a ballot for the Hall of Fame. And now let's move on to our third and final need to know news story. Jackie, you are gonna love this one. I am just so excited for you about this one. Lamelo Ball. So Lamelo has emerged this season as the NBA's, I think he's definitely the best rookie. He's putting up impressive numbers. He's made really amazing contributions to the Hornets, and he's really set himself up to have a pretty spectacular career in the NBA. And that means he has to learn how to score all the chicks like every other pro athlete out there. So athletes have been known to slide into DMs of hot girls on Instagram time and time again. It's just common practice now. You can slip into the DMs and then next week you're flying on a plane to Miami to go hang out with some pro athlete. It just happens all the time. But Lamelo seems to have discovered a new trick in order to get the attention of some of these hot girls on Instagram. He apparently goes and follows a bunch of baddies or whatever you want to call them, and then he unfollows them, and then that's kind of the way to get them to pay attention to him. I have had people do that to me before, and once I see somebody following and then unfollowing, I'm like, block. Over it. You're annoying. I don't want to deal with this anymore. This is stupid. But I guess when you're a 19-year-old NBA player with a net worth of millions of dollars, it works. So people have been screenshotting his activity on social media, and it shows that he's been liking posts by Anna Montana and Ashlyn Castro. Both of these ladies are a little bit older than Lamelo is. Ashlyn is 7 years older than him, and Anna, who you guys can see right here in this photo, is 32. So he's definitely shooting above his age range a little bit. And here's where things get really wild. So this photo is actually from the Jumbotron at a Hornets game, and Anna, who is in this like orange zip-up hoodie, was sitting with LaMelo's friends. So apparently his little unfollowing trick worked, because this woman is now at his game, sitting with his friends. I think that it's not that hard to imagine that LaMelo invited her out there to come stay with him, to come to the game, and that's why she ended up there. I don't think it's just a coincidence. So she is 32 years old. He's 19. He's really, he's doing it, and looks like they are potentially on the track to have a little summertime dalliance, a little summer fling. Not entirely sure how serious this is going to be for them, but is LaMelo Ball on his way to becoming the classic NBA playboy? Jackie, what are your thoughts?
I don't find him attractive, so I don't know how he would pull this off. But I mean, let me try to look beyond that. I'm so thrown off right now. I will say this though: as long as everyone's over 18, to me, age is really nothing but a number. As long as everybody's legal and you're not manipulating anybody, so shoot your shot, my guy. I'm cool with that. But this whole following and unfollowing thing, that working over on somebody over 30, I don't know. We ain't got time to be looking at your damn did you boy bye? Ain't got time for you like that. So I just don't know if that's gonna work like that. Maybe stay in your age bracket, because I could see me being younger, being like, oh my God, why is he unfollowing me? But no, not a full grown woman. That's just weird to me. But I mean, when I think about the guys in the league right now that are really fine, I just don't see LaMelo being like, these guys fine. Like all the Celtic squad is just okay. I see y'all out there on the Celtics looking just fine. So I don't know if I would put LaMelo in that. I don't know. I can't see him being the playboy in this, but I see you, Kevin. The money makes him gorgeous, but I guess since I got my own money, his money just it ain't leveling him up for me. I just don't see it. But okay. I mean, okay. I don't know what else to say.
I think, Jackie, what you're telling us right now is that you have a good head on your shoulders, and it's going to take more than a multi-million-dollar net worth to get your attention, and that's exactly how it should be. But I totally understand why LaMelo, with his, on his way to being the Rookie of the Year, everybody's hyping him up. He's earning a bunch of money. He's going to be earning a bunch of money for a long time unless something wild happens. So I understand why that would be something that captures the attention of somebody over the age of 30, but that unfollowing and refollowing technique for me would 1000% not work. Unless it was Kelly Oubre Jr., then maybe I would be a little bit intrigued.
You got all these lookers in the game. I'm just not putting LaMelo on this list. We had a nice little class of some handsome. I'm just saying. But you know what? In his defense, though, I'm sure Miss Pippen and Malik Beasley will break up at some point. He can shoot his shot there, and we know for sure that shot will land because she about that life. So there is potential.
So wait, are you speculating that a LaMelo and Larsa Pippen relationship is going to happen in the future?
I'm saying if it don't work out with Malik Beasley, she's for sure down. So that is what I'm saying.
Scottie Pippen Jr. is older than LaMelo, I think. This is not a good thing.
I said what I said.
I'm so upset by that comment. Let's look at what's happening in the chat here. Mamba Machine says, LaMelo needs to focus on basketball and trying to become the best he can be in the league. He needs to be working on his shot and his hold on the game. Focus on basketball, LaMelo. I think that it's important for an athlete to stay focused and to not get distracted by outside things, but I also think it's unrealistic to assume that somebody, especially a 19-year-old, is going to just be like, no girls, putting the blinders up, focusing on the game. Should he do that? Would he be better off if he did that? Probably, but I think that you can still maintain this social life, this dating life, and not have to, and still be able to commit to the game. I don't think that LaMelo's little social media follow, refollow, unfollow whole tactic is taking away from the time that he's spending on the court. But what do you have to say about that, Jackie?
I'm very pro guys dating around. That's probably one of the reasons why I don't know who's dating who, is because I just don't keep up with it, because I just don't care. I do think, especially everyone on the planet has certain needs. They have certain desires for companionship. And I'm very pro. Go ahead out there and do your thing. If you got a resume full of girls throughout your career, that's fine. I do think that people should wait till they're closer to retirement years before they get married, because I just don't know, especially if you're out here dating these IG models. If you're like Steph and LeBron and you're doing your high school sweetheart, somebody's been down with you this whole time, that's fine. But if you're out here really just getting, these IG models who are literally out there specifically to, get that anchor into your money, then that's just a bad look. So I think you should probably wait. That's why I totally agree when LeVar said that. You should wait till you either retire or you're close to retirement to settle down. But if you want to be out here dating around, I mean, do your thing. You're young. You're having the time of your life. You're doing this amazing career. You're getting paid stupid money to play a game. You are literally living your best life, and have fun while you're out there doing it. I don't object to that at all, but just be careful, because I don't want you to get caught up with somebody and then all of a sudden we see a headline that, oh, this divorce is getting nasty, or oh, this custody battle is happening and she wants $50,000 a month because she got one baby by you. So just be careful while you out there, do your thing and have fun. I think it's a smart move. Just have a good time.
Well, Malik Beasley has shown that it doesn't always end up in $50,000 a month. Sometimes it's just $800. So that would be no skin off of LaMelo's back.
You need to be hit in the face for that one. That man he is not the example.
Not the example at all in any sense of the word. JD says he needs a lady to keep him grounded. He needs an older woman who isn't interested in him for the money. Yeah, I mean, I think a young woman could also keep him grounded as well. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that having a lady in your life is going to make it so that you can't focus on your sport. And Jackie, you brought up another point that I wanted to mention as well, that LeVar, a while ago did say, I mean, I want to clarify, he didn't say you should wait until retirement to get married. Right. He said, these boys are just going to be dating thoughts. They're just going to be dating Instagram models. They're not going to be dating anybody with substance. So they're not going to have a real thriving relationship until after they get out of the NBA. So that is what he said. And you know what? I think that that's probably right. I feel like we see more guys kind of being these little playboys in the league than we do guys being solid supportive partners. Steph is an exception. LeBron is an exception. There are others as well, but I think Giannis is an exception. But I think that for the most part, a lot of these guys, especially the younger ones, are just dating who they want. They're flying the girls out, just like Brandon Ingram when he posted that Instagram story and was like, whatever he said about like, oh, it's boring here because he didn't have anybody to come hang out with him. I think that's the mentality of most of these young guys in the NBA. And if that's how they need to blow off steam, you know what? I can't be mad at it. So LaMelo, keep following and unfollowing girls. If you do it to me, I'm blocking you, so don't even try. Not that he would. I don't think I'm his type based on the pictures of girls that I saw him doing that to. Doesn't seem that he likes blondes that much. Anyway, let's move on. Let's get into the post-up. I am done with Need to Know News.
Yes, I'm excited about this first post up, you guys, because this one is, I have never, let me not say that. When Carmelo was with the Knicks, I definitely was a Knicks fan because y'all know this, I love me some Carmelo Anthony. But the Knicks last week were like in 5th place in the East. Right now they're in 7th. They're just, 2 games out of getting that number 6 spot and for sure having a playoff spot. But they're still looking at doing a play-in right now. But this game between the Knicks and the Brooklyn Nets was ridiculous because they ended up losing that game 112-117, but it was because of the refs. I don't want to talk about this anymore. I don't want to talk about refs being the reason that games are decided, and it is infuriating because they got this call wrong. I want you to take a look at this call that they made against Julius Randle. They ended up calling him for traveling, but the call literally should have been on Kyrie. So take a look at this.
I mean, he absolutely hits it on his way up.
Yeah, Randall went over to talk to Scott Foster, and see Obi Toppin, the rookie, and Taj Gibson, the veteran, keeping Randall away. And Tom Thibodeau and the coaching staff as well. Smart decision.
So this to me was just infuriating. That was like one angle of Julius Randle's reaction, because they ended up calling him for traveling because they said, oh, he went up and down. He came down because Kyrie hit him. And here's what really pisses me off about this situation. Everyone was protesting. You, as a ref, literally had an opportunity to go look at the replay. You had an opportunity, and instead of doing that, he just stuck to his guns. I'm gonna show you the other angle of Julius Randle, because he really wanted to go have words with this ref, and I'm glad that he didn't, because what that would have meant for him and his team. But somebody somewhere need to talk to these refs, because this is getting out of hand. So take a look at this other angle.
Bizarre finish. Knicks doing some great things defensively down the stretch, but Julius Randle turned it over. He still wants more of an explanation. And Randle very upset after being pushed away by his teammates, and they're smart to get him away. The emotions high for Julius Randle, who played brilliantly with 33 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists. But the Knicks fall short as Brooklyn wins.
See, and the thing is we've talked trash about the Knicks for years and how irrelevant they are for years. They are literally going out there and they are fighting every single game. And for a ref to be able to come in and step in and take that fight away is just ridiculous. Damian Lillard commented on Twitter about it as well. And he's like, KY blocked Julius Randle a shot attempt. Why didn't Scott Foster blow his whistle and give the Nets the ball? Okay, even if you didn't do that, even if you got that wrong, I'm not mad at you. You're human. You get things wrong. But you saw Kyrie basically fly in, like he was like literally flying. You saw that. He did not clearly travel. Okay, see, this is why you can't be a ref, Dwayne Bond, because Kyrie clearly hit him. It should have been Julius Randle at the line. This was an easy call. Should be like refs 101 class. And if you don't believe me, maybe at least you'll believe Kyrie, because Kyrie himself even said, I thought it was kind of a good play. So take a look.
Yeah, no, I was either going to foul early, but I saw him lining up for a jump shot. I felt like I could get a good hand on it. Scott called travel. I thought Julius made a good play afterwards, putting it down. I was going to foul him after that just to get him to the free throw line. But, yeah, that's how it looked. That's how it went.
Kyrie basically said, I was going to foul him. Like, that was my plan all along. And what he did looked good. But that's how it went. He literally knows that he was supposed to get called for the foul. And again, this is one of those things that should not have happened. I agree with Kevin Pryor. He says officials stole that game. For those of you who are calling travel, I need to understand how you think that's a travel, because that definitely was not it. The second you foul me, then that's it. You fouled me. Me coming back down means nothing. Devin, I'm going to go to you, because this clearly has got me feeling some type of way. And because I hate to see this. I hate to see, and even if it's a team that I don't like, I hate to see guys going out there playing like the game means something. The Knicks have been fighting this whole season. I'm not even used to not even being able to give shade to the Knicks. This is crazy to me. And they're out there actually doing what they're supposed to do. And then to have a ref say, you know what? No, I'm just going to hand you the game and not even take a second look at it. I don't know. This is infuriating to me. But what do you think about this?
Yeah, I think it's infuriating as well. And it's just adds more fuel to the fire. But for this like battle between athletes and refs, I just feel like the refs are making these terrible calls, and it's just frustrating. It makes the game not fun to watch. But yeah, I mean, I feel like that call was ridiculous. And I think that the Knicks, like you said, it's been so long since we've seen them really be able to kind of like put up a strong fight on the court, and they go out there night after night and they play like it's a playoff game. Like, if you watch the intensity that they have, they are trying so hard. So it is disappointing to see that it's, to see something like this happen. So I'm with you 100%. And yeah, I mean, the chat seems to be kind of all over the place, but if Kyrie can even admit it, I feel like we all can see it too.
Yeah, and I love Kyrie's little look away. Like, I thought it was okay. You know what I mean? Like, he just knows that. And I get it that it goes that way sometimes. I understand that. I'm a Saints fan, y'all. So I've spent a good chunk of my life mad at the refs. So I understand that the games go that way, but you don't want to see games decided by the refs. This is literally a game that was decided by the refs, and it is so unfortunate. And I feel so bad for the Knicks because they're literally out there giving it all they got. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but when you get a technical foul, so you get to pick the guy who's going to shoot the ball. So the guy you pick should be able to go out there and knock it down super, super easy. Kyle Kuzma, though, he's in the struggle game right now, and I feel bad about this because he looked great last night. Him and Horton Tucker had a couple of alley-oops that looked great. He went out there. I think he scored 17 points on the night. He looked like the Kyle Kuzma that LeBron, I think, wants him to look like. He said he wants him to be the third best player on the team. I don't think he's there yet, but there was moments in that game last night where I was like, okay, I see you, Kuz. For the record, this was not it. And the way the Warriors are clowning him, I got nothing to say. I'm just going to hold my hands up and say, yeah, you just got to earn that one. So take a look.
A harsher penalty. Ooh, Kuzma.
Oh,
I
God.
wonder if that's the first time ever somebody shot a technical foul and shot an elbow.
We'll get research on it. I can't tell you the last time I saw it.
For those of you that's home, you select, even Kuzma's laughing at that. You select the guy you want to shoot the technical foul. So they chose Kyle Kuzma.
I mean, Kyle was like, can I just go to the locker room right now? That is embarrassing, Steph. Going out there and not even hitting the rim on it. That is embarrassing. The way that Mark Jackson was like, hey, when's the last time you saw somebody airball a technical? And the other guy was like, I don't know if I ever seen that. This is too much. And I was sitting at home watching that and I was like, okay, stop. Just start the game. Because I started sweating because when I get embarrassed, y'all, I sweat. So I started sweating like it was me out there that just airballed this shot. I was so embarrassed for Kyle Kuzma, but I'm glad he laughed it off. But he deserved every piece of that clown. Every single piece of that clown. I agree with you. RJ in the chat, he says Kuzma is inconsistent. That is 100% correct because there's times when he looks like he's the guy LeBron wants him to be. And there's times where I'm like, hey, the trade deadline is coming up. Do what you got to do. So, Kuz, I'm sorry for you. Devin, did you see that? Did you see that air ball when it happened?
Oh, yes. Oh my God, it's just one of those moments. And I feel like we do this a lot with Kuz where it's just like, oh, Kuz, come on, my guy, not a good idea. So bad. And I thought that it was so funny that he could have acted all like defensive and not laughed at it. I thought it was perfect that he was laughing right there along with Draymond, along with Steph. He did deserve all of that roasting. Poor guy. Kuz, he is so inconsistent. That's why the Lakers fans have, it's like this love-hate relationship with him. Like, oh God, I just wish we could get him on one solid track. That's all we need from him.
And so Doug is right. That is a Shaq in the Fool moment for sure because, it was so embarrassing. Like I said, I had to go. I was like, oh my God, this boy got me out here like I shot the air ball. I was so embarrassed for him. But let's move on to this next one because this is also funny to me because Nico is little, guys. He is so tiny. And I don't know if you guys watched the game last night. There was a lot of funny moments in it. Specifically, LeBron, there was one moment where he just was like outside. He was at the 3-point line and Nico was guarding him and he just booty checked him all the way up to the basket and got it in. And he just couldn't do nothing. He just kept getting backed up. If you didn't see it, I couldn't find a clip from that, but I got this one because this screen is just straight child abuse. But welcome to the NBA, Nico. Take a look.
In another. So Pascal with the good defense and then the nice delivery.
They're playing together. Starts on the defensive end, though. Force that turnover.
We had a nice moment just a minute ago. LeBron welcoming Nico Mannion to the NBA. It's good to see you. Congrats. Oh!
Just a nonchalant, bone-crushing screen. He just stood there like nothing happened.
Right. Yeah, that's
goodness.
LeBron's still teaching.
It was the eye movement for me. Like, I'm not. LeBron's body was just like, I'm just standing here and gonna just eye him, and then Nico was like, I think I'm concussed. Oh, I love that. There were some great moments in that game last night. So if you have Hulu has live sports, guys. Y'all can go back and rewatch it because there was a lot of funny moments in that game. But Colin Sexton, on the other hand, he is not smiling. He's not here for this situation with Kevin Love. If you guys don't know, Kevin Love has only played 4 games this entire season, and he's averaging 5.8 points. But he is making $31.3 million for this season, which is the 20th highest paid player in the league right now. And Colin Sexton, he went ahead and took to Twitter to like a post that basically said Kevin Love stole $120 million from the Cleveland Cavaliers heist of the century. And there you see Colin Sexton, he has liked that tweet. So I am a Kevin Love fan. Kevin Love is the best Robin in the league. Like, he is definitely that number 2 guy. I think the problem is, since LeBron left Cleveland, there's no Batman. So his role is just kind of undefined over there. But people are mixed on this one as to how they feel about Colin liking this tweet. So I'm going to show you this first tweet where it's like, Colin has a right to be mad, but Love is smart, saving his health and minutes to play for a competitive team. I think that is the absolute worst mentality to have. Your mentality, it should be to go out there and try to win at all costs. And 4 games and 5.8 points is definitely not that. So I just don't agree with that. But I do agree with this user who says that that's not how a competitor making the money he's making should think. He should be playing his A off. Nobody wants him right now anyway. And then here's an interesting point. He says, if it weren't for his contract and I was the Nets, I'd want him. I can't see the Nets having a need for him. That's y'all be weird out here where y'all think people should go. I just can't see the Nets going for this Kevin Love thing. I don't know what y'all be eating or smoking, but clearly my diet is different because I just can't see that one making sense. So we're just going to move on from that one. I'm going to tell you guys this one too, because I almost didn't go to my high school prom. It's a whole story time of why. We'll have to get into that later. But my mother made me go. She's like, nope, because you don't want to look back one day and you didn't go to your prom. This is kind of a rite of passage thing. And of course, she's right. Looking back on it, I was like, I'm so glad I went to my prom because now I have this story to tell. It's a weird one, but I have a prom story to tell. So it's amazing. So Vicky Williams, I don't know if you guys know him, but he is a basketball player. He attends Lake Norman Christian School in North Carolina. And depending on what list you look at, he's definitely in the top 5. I've seen some lists that have him ranked number 1 for the 2023 class. I've seen the ESPN list specifically has him ranked number 5. So the kid is good, and he is hyper focused on basketball. Every interview I've seen with him is just he's hyper focused on basketball. So much so that he made this comment, and this is all over Twitter, where he says, I told someone the other day, I'm not going to prom. I'm going to the gym. What's prom going to do for me? So like I said, he's so hyper focused on his game and getting better and perfecting his game that he doesn't even want to go to prom. And I love this about him because it just shows you the dedication. So you're not going to get like a Kevin Love situation where he just wants to kind of rob a team of $120 million. He wants to go out there and play and do his best. But Dame Dollar stepped in once again, and he stepped in the same way that my mom stepped in for me. He said, bro, go to prom. It's got over 3,000 likes. It's got way more than that now. This was right when it was first posted. And I 100% agree with that. And I appreciate both aspects of it. I appreciate that he doesn't want to go to prom. He is focused. This man has a goal, and I love that. But I think you still go to prom. Mama Machine in the chat says prom is a waste of time, especially if you have no one to go. I went to prom by myself. Like I said, there's a whole story behind that. I went to prom by myself, and it was fantastic. So I'm going to go to Devin. Do you agree? Which side do you fall on? Do you fall on, yes, go to the gym, stay focused, or, hey, you're in high school, my guy, go to prom? Where do you fall on this one?
You know what? I think I have a different attitude. I also went to my prom alone, Jackie, because none of the squirrely little boys at my high school wanted to ask me. And I put a lot of pressure on myself to go because I thought I was going to regret it. I thought I was going to look back in 10, 20, 30 years and wish that I had gone. I literally do not remember a single thing from my prom. I have no like lasting memories. So if he wants to go to the gym and work out and miss his prom, I guarantee prom night's not going to be that big of a deal. It wasn't for me. I did not have to go.
let me tell y'all now. Y'all should know a little bit of my personality by now. So when I decided to go to prom by myself, there was going to be some shenanigans involved with all of that. So maybe one day I'll just tell that whole prom story on my Instagram. Our producer was like, "Y'all both went to prom alone." Look, yes, we did, and we are not losers because of it. There's a whole story behind mine. I had a date, but he wanted things that I was not going to provide on prom night. So then I didn't have a date last minute. So I was like, well, screw it. I'm not going to go. And then I ended up going. And when I tell you, I turned up that whole prom. Go to prom, my guy. Devin, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, at least you had somebody that wanted to go with you. I went to a school that had 3,000 kids. Not a single one of them asked me to prom.
Oh, God. Yeah. I went to a school, 5,000 people in my graduating class. Only 10 of us were Black. And most of us were girls. So it was hard to get a date for me too. So because it was not that time. But I still had a great time. One day I'm just going to have to tell that story, and I'm going to tell y'all when it's on my Instagram so y'all can go check it out. But we're going to get to this next one because since I can see y'all in the chat, y'all got time. So I want y'all to do me a favor right now. Text or call this number, okay? Write it down. Here we go. 415-612-1737. I'm going to say it again like I'm a recording. That number once again is 415-612-1737. Okay, that apparently, I believe it's a burner phone. I cannot believe that this is his real number. But y'all know I go back and forth with my Tom Brady love. I want y'all to take a look at this video and tell me if you think that this is real, if this is his real number. Take a look at this video.
Hey, what's up, everyone? So this is a real first for me, but I've been talked into giving out my cell phone on the internet. So listen, rule number one, before we get into any of this, no texting on game days. Really, though, what this is it's a tool that will allow me to communicate more directly with my fans and my followers, where we can actually do a better job of responding to you and your questions and all the great messages. Sometimes it gets hard to sort through the "you suck, Brady" in the comments. I know there's quite a few of those over the years. It's usually from the Jet fans. But to be clear, if you do text me "you suck," yes, I'll see it. And I may or may not respond. So shoot me a message. I promise I'm going to get back to as many of you guys as possible when I have the time.
I have to say something about this.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Jackie. So my friends actually own the company Community, and Community provides celebrities with a private phone line, and I think it is so cool that they got Tom Brady on board. So congratulations to my friends Josh and Matt at Community because they started this company. It was their idea. Yeah, so I just wanted to say that. Shout out. I know the people who set this up.
So then you can answer some questions for me. One, since it is a company that sets it up, it's obviously not his personal phone number. This is a number that is provided by, like you said, the community. So with that said, is it Tom Brady who's actually responding, or is it someone from the community that's responding? Can you tell us that? Is that like information? I don't know.
So as far as I know, they have canned responses that will go out automatically when you text a celebrity. But if the celebrity wishes to engage with fans one-on-one, they're completely able to. So they can go in and text and send messages and communicate personally. I'm not sure. I can't speak for how often that happens, but it's a super successful company. So I'm sure that it's satisfying enough for fans where they do feel like they're getting a personalized interaction with whoever it is. So, I mean, I think it's a really neat idea.
Yeah, that's super cool because, and I love how Tom just is like, it's going to be a whole lot of "you suck, Tom Brady." I'm sorry. I'm getting off the fence, you guys. It's official. I'm getting off the fence. I am no longer going to dance between I don't like and I like Tom Brady. I am squarely going to I like Tom Brady. I like Tampa Tom. It's just, it is what it is. Y'all can get mad at me. I know he cheated and did all that in the past. And I don't really forgive people too much, but I'm just going to turn over a new leaf for Tampa Tom, and all is forgiven. He's the GOAT. I like Tampa Tom. Just write it down. Wow. Today is the day I officially go into I like Tom Brady. Today.
I'm like going to fall off my seat. I never thought this was going to happen. Jackie is a Tom Brady fan. You guys, you heard it here first today. It's official. She is on the Tom Brady train.
Yes, I didn't think I'd ever get here. A lot has changed in my life. Never thought I'd be a Laker fan. Thanks, LeBron. So life happens, you guys. So this next one, you guys remember that video that we saw with the kid from that camp that was being super disrespectful to Cam Newton, and I had said that is poor parenting, and that his parents, this is a reflective of how he was raised more than it is of him because he's a child, right? So with that said, I sent this to our producer last night, and this is fantastic. This is an example of fantastic parenting because the older brother's little brother is freaking out, and parents don't even have to step in. Take a look. So brother was about to have a temper tantrum, and so older brother is telling him how to breathe so he can calm down. Mom kind of explains it in her next 2 posts of what happened. So she tells us right here, she says, some of you asked why he was crying. He wanted to play the Nintendo. If you have kids or have been around any, you know they think it's fully charged after being plugged in for only a millisecond. Anyway, it wasn't, and he started having a little bit of a meltdown till Big Bro intervened. And then I love this next post because apparently we're seeing the tail end of this temper tantrum. And she says, y'all, I would have lost it had I recorded it from the very beginning. My baby was all, I understand the pain, but I do, but just, you have to wait. It's not done yet. And then I started recording, and then he started teaching him the breathing exercises. Y'all, this is good parenting. This is not throwing your kid up in some sort of cheerleading thing. This is not teaching your kids to be disrespectful. This is good parenting. I'm so proud of this family. Devin, did this not melt your heart just a little bit?
Oh, yeah. I think this is really great. You guys know my sister just had a baby recently, and I know that she's relying a lot on the older one, who's almost 4, to kind of show the little one the ropes and teach him how to be a good boy. So I think that she's hoping this is what's going to happen, but she needs to talk to this mom, I think, because that mom has done something right.
Right. Yes, I see Mama Machine in the chat. He says that older brother is going to grow up and be a psychiatrist one day, probably, or a life coach or something like that. And then Jeremiah says that's Bronny James and Bryce James right there. Could be. I'm not mad at that either. All right, so that's all I got for the post up. What we not going to do is going to be fairly quick because this is one of those situations that I don't understand it, and I'm not going to pretend to understand it. I think you guys remember Kyle Larson. He's a white guy. He's a NASCAR racer who lost his job with the Chip Ganassi Racing after he had a communication during a game. So it was an iRacing event, and he lost communication with his spotter on his headset. And then during the check of his microphone, he says, "You can't hear me." And then he said the N-word, which immediately caused this whole backlash because at that time, of course, Bubba Wallace was in the mix of this whole representing for Black Lives Matter. There was the noose situation that was in his racing stall. There was just a lot going on with NASCAR and the Confederate flag and them really just being forced to deal with their racist background. So there was a lot going on at that time. No one picked him up. No one picked him up after he said this racist comment. Now, I was under the impression that he had to be out for at least a year. And this happened back in April. And since then, Rick Hendrick, his racing team has picked him up. So like I said, his racist rant came about in April. I want to say April 20th of last year. So it wasn't a full year. But on this past Sunday, he actually had the opportunity to race in Las Vegas, and he raced to a victory. This was his first win since being reinstated. And NASCAR statement was like it was nearly a year long, but I did go back and I saw that the suspension was supposed to last for at least a year. So I don't know why he was allowed to come back a little bit earlier, but he did compete in 4 races this past season. And Hendrick Motorsports is the team that picked him up, and he's in his first race back. He won. And this tweet right here shows this victory moment for him, and he's on the phone with Rick Hendrick. So I have a lot of mixed emotions about this. Number one, I am troubled that anyone would pick him up so soon after this. I don't even know if I think a year-long suspension is enough, but I would have at least been satisfied with a full year because that's what you said and that's what you stuck to. He's obviously back a little bit sooner, so that bothers me. And then Larson said, quote, I didn't know if I would ever have an opportunity to win a NASCAR race again. And he, of course, thanked Hendricks for taking this massive risk on him. But here's a part that I really don't like. So after the win, like I said, he's on the phone and he's thanking, Hendricks for picking him up. And then the first person to go over and congratulate him is Bubba Wallace. He said, it meant a lot for me for Bubba to come into the victory lane. He's always believed in me and been very supportive, and that was special. I'm not a fan of this, Bubba. I'm not a fan of this at all. And I understand that my forgiveness lane is it's a long and windy road. A simple apology is not going to get it for you. I need to see a whole bunch of action and you admitting that was who you are at your core. That whole apology of like, this is not reflective of who I am. Yes, it is, because that word came out too easily. If it wasn't in your vocabulary before, it would not have come out at that moment. And you never said, yes, I have had racist tendencies in my past, and I probably need to work on that to be better. That was never your apology. You were never honest about who you were. So it means you lied. You lied to try to save face, and you lied to try to get your job back, which means you haven't tried to change. Yes, you've taken whatever classes that they made you take, but I haven't seen any action from him that signifies, hey, I have to really identify this level of hatred. I'm not saying it's a astronomical MAGA level of hatred, but I'm saying there is a level of hatred that he has in his heart for that word to come out. And for you to not own that and admit that means that you're not even really trying to change it. You're just trying to get your job back. And Bubba to be kind of the face, and then we know Bubba's of mixed heritage, but for him to be the main face of Black people in a very racist sport, to say, hey, guy who said the N-word, it's all good, congratulations. This bothers me. This bothers me a lot. I just don't know if you need to be running up to shaking hands and forgiving your enemy that quickly when the enemy hasn't proven that they have changed. So what we not going to do is go from being the face of like, let's push this agenda, let's talk about these injustices, to, hey, let's shake the hand of the white guy that thinks it's cool to use the N-word and he's just putting on this show to get his job back. I think you should demand more than just a song and dance. And I think that Bubba kind of sold himself and the things he stands for very, very short by going over there and just giving this guy a congratulations like nothing ever happened. I'm very disappointed in Bubba Wallace for this. But we have a little bit of time, so I want to go to you, Devin. Devin, what do you think about Bubba just being very welcoming and very supportive of Kelly coming back and getting this first win?
It's a little tough for me, Jackie, because I think that from Bubba's perspective, he probably felt like he spent so much of the last, 8 months or whatever in the limelight as the only Black, NASCAR driver or whatever it was. I think he probably felt like he was constantly being watched. And then there was that whole debacle with the noose hanging in his garage and people doubting the legitimacy of that. And he probably just felt like his name was creating controversy because of NASCAR's fan base. So I think him going out there and congratulating Larson was probably more of a PR move than anything. I don't think that he was looking at it as like a moment to really be like, yeah, I think you've done a lot of growth and work and I believe that you've changed. I think that he probably just felt like, I'm the person that calls for people to educate themselves. I've had so much attention on me based on all of the, discrimination that I've received. So this is my moment to show, like, if people are willing to do the work, I'm going to help. But I agree with you that I'm going to be cool with them or whatever. And I agree with you. It doesn't seem like there has truly been a lot of work done, but he probably felt like he kind of had to in order to kind of just avoid any sort of media controversy. But what do you think about that? Do you think that that could have been a motivating factor for him in being the first one over there?
If it was, it's a horrible motivating factor, because if people are going to feel some type of way that I, as a black man, am not going up to congratulate the white guy that the N-word is readily in his vocabulary, then think what the hell you think. I'm not trying to be the one that has to represent, because, and this is a thing, and I think we as black people, we kind of understand that sometimes when we're in these situations where we're we're not just representing for ourselves, we're representing for the entire race. Like it or not, that's just how that scenario goes. And I just don't like that's the message that you're putting. You're putting forth this message that, hey, if they do this song and dance, if they issue this fake apology, it's all good. And it's not. It never should be, because if you've done this here, this is not the first time he said that word. This was the first time he got caught. Let's be clear about that. And so there's nothing to me that indicates that this man is a different person. He's probably just going to check himself a little bit more, so he only keeps that word in his household. But I would bet my last $5 that man still uses that word in private settings where he can read the room and he knows those people in that room are not going to be offended by that word. So I'm not going to be the first one over there to represent for the black community for giving this man who hasn't shown me that he's actually changed. I'm just not going to do it. And if that causes controversy, fantastic, because we need to keep this conversation going, and you need to do better. So if that was his motivation, for doing so, then I'm even more disappointed in Bubba Wallace. So this is just a bad situation for me.
No, I'm with you. I feel like that definitely. I think it would be a disappointing reason to do that as well. That's the only thing that I can think of, though. You know what I mean? I feel like if I'm looking at it from an outside perspective and trying to envision his motivation there, like it must have just been a message from his publicist or his PR team or something in order to just make sure that there isn't some other hullabaloo that comes out of all of this. But I agree with you. We do need more conversations. We need more headlines. We need people to be, to acknowledge this kind of thing so that we can keep the conversation going. So I don't know. I mean, I just kind of have, I feel like, mixed feelings about this. I agree with you,
Yep. But that's all I got for what we not gonna do. You guys in the chat were fantastic today. Loved y'all.
Yeah. We loved you guys. Thank you so much for contributing to the conversation. You guys had some really great thoughts that we love to bring up in the show, and that was awesome. So thank you so much for that. Let's wrap up our show for the day. We are going to be back again at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow, so make sure you tune in, mark it on your calendars, and tap the bell for notifications. Subscribe, leave a comment below, share this with your friends, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye, everybody.